Sunday, October 1st, and the Dome Bombers podcast is back. I'm your host, Christian Krueger, with a special guest tonight. We're just lifelong Astros fans that love to talk about the Astros. So, boys, let's go. All right, I don't know what episode this is. It's going to be called another special episode due to what happened today. But before I get into that, I want to introduce, we have Jason Brown, pinch hitting, coming on the podcast for us. Neil is involved in game prep, and Dorton is traveling. And I send a text message to the great Jason Brown, and I get, what do I do? And I said, I'll send you a text. And he says, I'm in. And that's what I love. So, Jason, as a lifelong Astros fan from Victoria as well, thanks for joining us.
Hey, happy to be here, man. I'm happy to fill in for Neil and Brian, and longtime listener to the podcast. Appreciate it, love it. Go Stros. Let's talk some Stros.
All right. So this is going to be a reaction pod to what just happened. But before we do that, I do want to thank real quick Two Gringos Chupacabra for sponsoring us. They're our title sponsor. You guys that follow the podcast, go get their products. We've been using them for years. The great people there have been awesome to us. Also, Victoria Equipment Auction. If you have any equipment from anything and everything, get to those guys. We've known Kenny and Kevin Griffin for a long time, and call Clay there at victoriaequipmentauction.com. So I want to make sure we shout out both of those those companies that sponsor us. But Jason, okay, where to begin? Last week was a bad week for the Stros. There's a lot of things that had to happen. I have to, before we get into it, give props to Dorton. Our last podcast, he said that this was a likely scenario, and I fought him on it. So for those that have listened to it, I was wrong, and it wasn't a likely scenario. We had a lot of things that happened, but I'm going to give Dorton his props. It took 20 minutes to explain, but still, he was steadfast on the fact that this could happen. I did not think it would. So awesome job, Astros. Thank you, Mariners. Thank you, Rangers. Jason, what are your first reactions to everything that happened this weekend?
Yeah, it was a wild week, like you said. I mean, you go from, gosh, are we going to get into the playoffs? Are we going to limp into the playoffs? Or are we going to go sweep the Diamondbacks, get some help, and now win the division, get some rest? And the best possible scenario happened. I mean, it was a phenomenal weekend for Astros baseball. The Rangers, man, you're looking at the score all day long today. All I got to do is win one game, and they couldn't get one run. And I was shocked. It was shocking because they do have some talent. They got some talent there, but
they do.
Winners win, baby. Winners win.
You said that before we started recording, and I love it. You said winners win, and that's exactly right, man. Look, I have been hard on them all year. The podcast documents that. I've said since May that the Rangers will Ranger. I'll be honest, for a while I was like, man, maybe they won't. It just took game 162 for it to finally catch up to them. What's amazing to me, and I was talking about this earlier, is 162 baseball games, and they finished with the same record.
Right.
And that's why games against your division opponents matter, because the Astros have the tiebreaker to go 90 and 72 and get the 2 seed instead of, as you said, out of the playoffs. Okay, we're going to sneak in with a 6 seed. Oh, no, we might get the 5 seed. No, the Stros got the 2 seed, got 5 days off. I am drinking out of my lucky koozie. That is
There it is.
My gold 2017 Astros championship koozie that's seen better days, but I'm going to keep it as long as we can. A lot of shout outs first. Let's talk about Astros. Hector Neris, the last couple of games, holy crap. Talking about just putting them out there and just stepping up. I'm gonna mention a couple more, and I'm gonna let you go with it. I have been hard on Jeremy Pena. His defense the last couple of days,
phenomenal.
Look, if he wants to hit 240, 250, 260 and no home runs, I'm fine. Because his defense last 3 games have been clutch.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it those two. What shout outs do you have to some that played the last week?
Well, I'm going to touch on Neris just for a second, but I
Yeah.
mean, if Minute Maid Park or the Astros want to make some money, they need to print out some Neris jerseys because all of us, I want a Neris jersey because that dude, I mean, it seemed like we needed a spark all season long. And when he did what he did to Julio, and I know them guys are maybe friends or whatever, but once again, we needed to play with some emotion and a spark. And I think that kind of showed, hey, we're the big dogs, we come to play. So Neris, spot on, right? I know you've been hard on Maldi, right? And sometimes,
I
Lord
have.
knows, I do not want Maldi near the field. But man, his gun down last night, I believe, was either Carroll or Thomas was trying to steal second, and he backhanded that ball and threw him out. Man, woo wee! He came
Yeah,
up
it was
clutch.
great. It was a great play. He did
It
tip.
was big, and I think they have him there for the lineup. But boy, or the leadership. But man, yeah, I want Diaz in there. But Maldi, and then man, I think to say Tucker's been the guy all year. I mean, I'm a huge Kyle Tucker fan. He kind of tailored off in the last couple weeks, laying in the weeds, as they say. But man, past few games, he's been huge. He hit the ball. He's been a constant. Hopefully he can ride that momentum. He's been, to me, the most consistent. So, Kyle Tucker, Maldi, those guys kind of brought us through the week from,
Tucker's the
the
team
game of defense,
MVP.
too. Oh,
Tucker's
yeah.
the team MVP without
Right.
a doubt. I'm going to get, and I want to talk about Tucker here in a second. What happened today? That was you know how much baseball me and you watch.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen a play like that in my life. So I
Mhm.
want to touch on that. But Maldi, you nailed it. Hat tip to Maldi. Another person I've been hard on is Abreu. We do
Yeah.
not win this series without Abreu.
Right. You're right.
With the pitching of Abreu. I mean, Abreu got all 3 runs
Right.
Friday and Saturday.
Hitting
Hit
the ball
another
hard.
bomb today. Yes.
Yeah.
So if it took 162 games for him to get right and he's right in the playoffs, watch out.
Right.
And Neil, to Neil's credit, because I'm gonna give him a shout out. He said that he goes, just wait. He might be he might be coming around right at time, and he could be, but we don't win. We don't sweep the series against the Diamondbacks without him. So you said it, man. Winners win, and that's what the Astros do. Like you get these guys step up that you're not really expecting, and that do. We chronicled some of them. The pitching gave up 1 run, 2. How many runs did we give them in the series?
2 runs, I think. Well, there's late
No, 1
today.
Late one today.
Right.
Yeah, so 2.
Yeah,
Yep.
2.
I mean, the bullpen is nasty. Right. Abreu is almost unhittable. We talked about Neris. Phil Matan, who I'm not the hugest fan of, he came up in some big spots.
Right.
I'm still, and I know we're recording this at 6/17, the day of winning the division. I still can't believe we won the division. I can't believe we're the 2 seed. But if there's ever a team that needed 5 days off, it's this one to rest the pitching staff. Javier pitched really good today. So with all this celebrating going on and all the deflation going on in the other 2 teams in the West, they play the winner of Toronto and Minnesota.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts of who you'd rather play? I'm sure I know where you'll lean, but
man, who I'd rather play is probably Minnesota. I think their two top guys are Correa, and I think it's Royce Lewis maybe. I think they're injured. And you don't want to. Hey, when we're trying to win a championship, I mean, you catch somebody at the right time, and it's going to be tough, but
part of it.
Catch them at the right time, and it's going to favor you. Like you said, I think the 5 days off is going to help us. Toronto, man, they have some young studs, but Minnesota's been to the playoffs before, and I know we battled them, and we haven't had much trouble with them. So they've got a little experience. Toronto, I don't know if they're ready for the lights to come on. They've been there a few years back, but I'm sure both teams are going to grind it out. I think Toronto's going to be the more emotional team. But man, the 5 days off, lining the pitching staff up, knock on wood. I see us, getting through the first.
What do you go? So if you get to wait 5 days, right? So
yeah.
you get to line it up. So what do you go pitching staff wise? Do you go I guess you have to you have to give Verlander an extra couple days. So I guess you go Fromber, who
Right.
pitches game 2, and then obviously you have Verlander for game 3 if needed. So what do you do game 2?
Man, I mean, Javier looked pretty good.
Is
And
that
here's
enough
the
time?
thing.
That's not enough time for him, right? Oh wait,
Right, you're right. I
see,
mean,
no, I'm stuck on the wild card series.
right, right. So you're going to have
So now
solid
everybody.
5,
So
right?
do you go Verlander, Fromber, and then Javier?
I like right, left, right. And I know earlier in the year, we had some trouble with Urquidy, and boy, I think Neil got on him pretty good. He wasn't a huge fan, but for some reason, dude, Urquidy, he was lights out the other night, and he pitches well in the postseason. And I'm not saying he needs to start at any point, but if you're getting roughed up or you need a long reliever, I don't want to say I trust him in a closeout game or anything, but man, he's got a little bit of that dog in him too.
So we touched a little bit on this the other night in the podcast. So here's my thoughts on that. The first series is going to be a 5-game series against the winner of Toronto and Minnesota. So you probably don't have to factor that in. I haven't looked at the
Right.
schedule that far,
Right.
but everyone's going to be rested. But for a 7-game series, I think your Urquidy's your 4 guy. I think you put Brown and France in the bullpen as swing guys.
Right. Absolutely. And one thing in the last month, I've almost thought, man, this is going to sound crazy, especially for a baseball team. We got too many hitters and we got too many pitchers because we can't set a lineup. You got Diaz, who is a stud sitting on the bench. You got Chaz, Jake, Dubon. I mean, you got all these guys. And then you look at the pitching staff, you could go 6, 7 deep if you had to. Now, France is kind of tailed off. Brown up and down, but now Urquidy had a great outing. Javier, the one guy I hate to say I'm a little worried about is Framber. Framber hadn't looked sharp. He gets a lot of strikeouts, but he's been walking guys. But man, when that cutter is on or that 2-seamer,
with Framber, it's in his head, man. It's all mental.
Right, absolutely.
If he checks in, his stuff is better than anybody's. When he checks in, he's got to get in between the ears. I still think since you're going to be rested, you go Verlander, Fromber, Javier, Urquidy. Well, 3-game series, so I got to see that. But yeah, I think that's what you do. Man, it's going to be fun. It's so good to be back in the postseason. 7 straight years, 6 out of 7 AL West division champs. The COVID year, which doesn't count, we didn't win it. I know I posted on social media about Bregman. I love hearing Bregman because he doesn't say a whole lot. I love him in the locker rooms saying, well, I guess, there's a lot of talk about us not winning the division. I guess they'll never know. And then pop the champagne. That guy playing 161 games gets a massive hat tip to me, hit a home run today. He just leads by example. I'm going to go back to what you said, man. Winners win. Yep. Winners win.
Experience matters. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now it really matters. I mean, it matters going down the stretch, but it really does now. Man, there's so many places to go. God, I love it. The Rangers blew it. Yeah. Something Big J wants to bring up?
Well, no, I was going to say, what are your thoughts between Minnesota or Toronto?
Toronto's more talented, right. No doubt. What I do like about it is they're probably going to get through Gosman, Barrios. They've got some other issues with starters. Manoah's, been up and down all year from minor leagues. So I like the fact they're probably going to have to burn a guy or two. They're way more talented. I do think the the Twins starting staff's better.
Yeah.
But the Toronto's got the hitters. But you know what? Considering that we're not the 6 seed or the 5 seed, and as I'm sitting outside on my deck and the sun's going down,
enjoying the sun.
I mean, let's go. I mean, let's just go. Let's play whoever. I'm already getting social media stuff and text saying, well, we don't want to play at home. Man, that stuff's over with, dude.
Right.
That stuff's over with. It's a new season. It's a recharge. It's a restart. You want the crowd behind you, especially the first 2 games. Let's go. I mean, that's all. None of that matters anymore. As of right now, that stuff's all 0-0.
Yep.
Sit back, get some rest, be with the families, and get ready to go.
One of the best things I ever listened to is the post-game interviews on Sports Talk 790 with Steve Sparks. He was talking to Dana Brown, or it was either Dana Brown or Joe Espada, and they said, series 1 is over. Now we're on to series 2, postseason, right? And then the series 3, let's get to the playoffs, right? Step 2, right? So like you said, it's all 0-0, and now we start over, and it's time to win. I think it's what, 11 games? Let's get 11 more.
11 games. Yep, 11 games. They've done it before. They're the reigning champs. Is it as easy for you as I mean, do you think the Orioles are the biggest threat?
In the American League,
Yeah, speaking American League.
Just in the American League, Tampa Bay. I mean, we handled Tampa Bay earlier in the season. They always play us tough in the playoffs, so it's a little bit of a concern. But yeah, Baltimore. I mean, once again, when you look at a morale standpoint, right, what we did to them in Baltimore, and I think their reliever he's got Tommy John or something, he's gone.
Yeah, Felix Bautista.
Right, Bautista, he's out. But and once again, the youth, right? I think youth in the playoffs can be well served because we had some youth in the playoffs before, but I also think that our guys are just mindset ready. And I would love to go in there and challenge them because once again, it would be the youth and versus the vets. And who would have ever thought, Christian, as long as we've been Astros fans, we would say the Astros, because we can, right? We played, we're emotionally tied, would say we have the upper advantage with the veteran leadership, man. That's
no joke.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But Baltimore's coming. They're good.
No, they are. I've said this on this podcast and other stuff. I think they're the next Astros. I just don't know if they're ready yet because they don't have the pitching yet. But we'll see. Those guys mash.
Yeah.
Do you think? Let's do a quick little. Do you think the Rays beat the Rangers?
Man, the Rangers got to figure their pitch. They're kind of limping in right now. I mean,
their bullpen's atrocious.
Yeah, the bullpen, the pitching staff. I've never been a Bruce Bochy fan. I know he had some good times in San Francisco, but just looking from an organizational standpoint, I mean, look at what they did. They went out and got DeGrom, mistake. Scherzer, mistake. So that's got to be a morale killer. I mean, you have Simeon and Seager. They're good, but man, and Garcia, but I don't know where you get some other production. I think Nathaniel Lowe gives you a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, and then does Tampa Bay have the pitching, right? But I think
because they've had injuries as well in the pitching,
right? I think Tampa Bay right now, the way things are going, I think Tampa Bay could definitely run them. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, the game shortens in the postseason, which right. And it's all about bullpens, and that they're in a distinct disadvantage when it comes to that. They're going to have to score. Tampa Bay's had a ton of injuries to the starting staff. That's probably going to go 5 either way. Yeah. I mean, who knows? I'm 5.
Yeah.
No, 3. They only do 3, right? Yeah. See, man, I mean, this whole new playoff thing, right? It's only a 3 game. It's only a 3-gamer.
I know. I need to look at the thing. I'm getting too old to remember. But is it?
Oh, I know. Well, no.
Or is it 5,
I'm telling you, man,
7,
I was so
7?
No, it's 3, 5, 7.
Okay. So
yeah, the wild card's 3. Yep. But they don't move. So all games are in the higher seed or lower seed. So, for instance, the Rangers are the 5, Tampa Bay's the 4. So all games are in Tampa Bay. They don't travel. That's going to be interesting. For Astros standpoint, you want them all going full 3. I think the Dodgers and Braves are on a collision course in the National League, but we kind of thought that last year and that didn't happen.
Right.
So you just never know in playoff baseball.
Especially in the National League. And yes, the Braves, they scare the daylights out of me. But
absolutely,
it could get hot. LA, the Dodgers are the Dodgers.
There is a guy on this podcast that took the Astros plus 380 to win the pennant. So let's make the World Series and let me pay for some baby shoes or something. I don't know. So wrapping up, closing thoughts on a great freaking Sunday, a great week. What do you any extra thoughts before we kind of wrap this whole thing up?
Well, it's kind of a relief, right? A little bit of relief, enjoy the season, enjoy that we got in. I mean, I can't believe we won the division, right? and just man, it's time to go to work. You're almost, I mean, 5 days is almost too long. So I guess would we play on Saturday?
Saturday, game
Man,
one.
now listen to this. How good is this Saturday?
I know what you're going to say.
Texas
Go
at 11,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And then let's play at 6 o'clock and let's beat the snot out of either Toronto or Minnesota, man. Oh, it's going to be great.
I've been making plans for Texas OU for, as I always do, for like weeks. My mother-in-law's coming in, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, we're watching I'm watching the Texas OU game." I was actually thinking about taking one of the boys, but it's just with all those kids' sports, It's just too hard. I need to do that because it's the greatest game ever to go see. But it's nice. The weather's going to be awesome, supposedly. Which when's the last time we said that? And then you're right. That game's over. Let's say Texas wins by 2-3 scores, hopefully, and then you turn on the Astros. Wow, what a day! Good times, man. It's a great part of the year. Only thing I didn't like is how Europe just took us to the woodshed in the Ryder Cup.
That was rough. The first 2 days were rough, and even today, like, man, Sam Burns couldn't hit a putt to save his life. But
it was lost on day one. When you go when you go 0-4, it's done. But that's for another day. Jason Brown is notorious. I'm gonna give him some props here. For years, #Strozen6. I've given him tons of credit on social media. He has said it and stuck by it. And in case you don't know, last year in 2022, the Astros won the World Series. And how many games, Jason?
6 games.
6 games. So no one can ever take #Strozen6 away from Jason Brown.
That's right, man. It finally came to fruition.
I love it when it's posted. But yeah, man, this is awesome. And so it's a good day to be an Astros fan.
Great day.
I predicted it since May. Again, I talked about it. I didn't think it would happen. I got to give Dorton props for saying we still have a chance to win the division. He was right. So he's going to love editing and hearing this, that I said that he was right. So he's going to love editing and hearing this, that I said that he was right. I said that he was right. That he was right. Jason, short notice. I appreciate you coming to pinch hit. Lifelong Astros fan, a Dome foamer. And thank you for always listening and to the podcast and everything. So any closing thoughts before we wrap this thing up? Hey, do you have a playoff Stros prediction now that we know?
It's been so quick. I don't have a prediction, but let's get 11. That's all that magic number is, 11. But I want to thank you for having me on. I love listening to you guys. We go way back to the first interleague game between the Astros and the Twins in the Dome, right? What a trip. Shout out to all the 361 Astro fans.
Absolutely.
Dave Epley. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Go Stros and hook 'em, baby.
We had to get a Dave Epley reference in. One of Neil and I, former college roommate. I love it. That's perfect. We absolutely go way back. We're going to have you on again in a longer segment, especially during the playoffs, man. So be on standby. I appreciate you stepping in and pinch hitting tonight. And how we like to end this, I will make a prediction. I think the Stros are going to go to the World Series. After that, I don't know. It's amazing how your feelings change in a week, but some things fell the right way, and I think they end up winning the American League. And then after that, I don't know. Yeah,
I think they match up against. Beatable. Atlanta can be beatable.
I do too, and dude, I'm not sure they make it. I'm not sure that. I'm just there's weird stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Sunday, October 1st, Stros win the AL West again. 7 straight years in the playoffs. Suck it, Rangers. Mariners, thanks for the help, but you can suck it too.
Right.
And we're going to end it with Go Stros.
Go Stros, baby.
He's going to love editing and hearing this. I said that he was right.